Close your eyes for a second. You're 7 years old. It's Saturday morning, cartoons are on, there's cereal in your bowl, the sugary kind your parents only buy sometimes, and scattered around you on the carpet are toys. Toys that you absolutely cannot live without. Now open your eyes. Can you name them? Some of them you remember instantly, but some of them, gone. Buried somewhere deep in the back of your brain, waiting for someone to bring them back. That's exactly what we're doing today. 10 toys from the 80s and 90s that millions of American kids owned, loved, and then completely forgot existed. Some of them disappeared overnight. Some were actually banned. And one of them, number 3 on this list, has a story so wild that we're dedicating an entire separate video to it. Let's go. We're starting with something gross. Because of course we are. It's 1985, and somewhere in a toy boardroom, someone asked the question, what if we made a ball, but disgusting? The answer was Madballs. Rubber balls the size of a baseball, each one sculpted into the face of something horrifying. A screaming skull, a rotting zombie, a giant eyeball with a bloodshot iris, a mummy with half its face falling off. They were objectively repulsive, and every kid in America wanted them immediately. The genius of Madballs was in the simplicity. They didn't do anything. You couldn't transform them. There was no cartoon to watch, no storyline to follow. They were just ugly balls. And yet they became a massive fad almost overnight. Why? Because they were the exact kind of toy parents hated, which at age 7 is basically a 5-star review. Amtoy released Madballs in 1985, and they sold millions. There was a brief animated special, a series of comics, and even a video game. By 1988, the craze had died down, but Madballs have been quietly revived multiple times since, most recently in the 2000s. There's clearly still an audience for a screaming rubber skull with one eye missing. If you had a collection of these lined up on your shelf, you were either the coolest kid in class or the most disturbing. Possibly both, from gross to genuinely dangerous. Sky Dancers were, on the surface, the most innocent toy imaginable. They were fairy dolls. Pastel colors, glittery wings, sweet little faces. You pulled a cord at the base of their stand, and they spun up into the air like tiny spinning ballerinas. Beautiful, right? Except, and this is important, they had absolutely no steering. Pull that cord and a Sky Dancer could go anywhere. Straight up, sideways, directly at your face at high speed, into your eye, into a light fixture, across the room into your little sister's forehead. Sky Dancers were recalled by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission in 2000 after more than 150 reports of injuries. Eye injuries, scratched corneas, a broken tooth, mild concussions. A spinning doll caused a broken tooth. That's genuinely impressive, and yet everyone who had one remembers them fondly, because when they worked, they were magical. This tiny plastic fairy spiraling up into the air, wings spinning, glittering in the light. It was genuinely beautiful for the half second before it attacked you. Sky Dancers are a perfect time capsule of the 90s, when toys were wild, wonderful, and occasionally moderately dangerous. Here's a question for you. What if your action figures were also food? This sounds like something a child made up. It was not. Mattel released Food Fighters in 1988, a line of military action figures who were also inexplicably fast food items. There were two sides at war. The Kitchen Commandos, the good guys, included Brigadier General, a hamburger with a helmet, Private Pizza, a slice of pepperoni pizza holding a gun, and Sergeant Scoop, a 2-scoop ice cream cone who was apparently ready for combat. Against them, the Refrigerator Rejects, Mean Wiener, Fat Frenchie, Chip the Ripper. These were real products that were manufactured, packaged, and sold in real toy stores. Someone approved this. Multiple people approved this. And here's the thing. Kids loved them. The concept was absurd, but the execution was actually great. The figures were detailed and well made. Each one had a unique personality. The packaging was bold and funny. For one glorious year, Food Fighters were everywhere. And then they disappeared almost completely, remembered by basically nobody until the internet brought them back as a punchline, and then, inevitably, a beloved piece of nostalgia. If you find a complete set of Food Fighters today, collectors will pay real money for them, which is a sentence that proves the world is a beautiful and unpredictable place. This one has been around longer than most people realize. The original Creepy Crawler set came out in 1964, A toy oven that let kids pour liquid plastic-goop into bug-shaped molds and bake them into squishy rubber insects. Sounds amazing. Was amazing. Was also extremely hot and gave plenty of burns to plenty of children, which is why it disappeared in the 70s. But in 1992, Toy Max brought it back. Updated safety features, new molds, a whole new generation of kids burning their fingers making fake rubber tarantulas. The revival Creepy Crawlers was a genuine hit. You could make bugs, monsters, alien creatures. And more importantly, you could make them and then leave them somewhere for someone to find and scream at. That alone justified the purchase price. The toy also had a short-lived cartoon in 1994, which told the completely logical story of a boy whose creepy crawlers came to life and fought evil. Obviously, Creepy Crawlers sits in a special category of 90s toys, the ones that were both a creative toy and a practical joke delivery system. If you made bugs and didn't immediately put one in someone's shoe, you were doing it wrong. This might be the most underrated toy on this entire list. In 1987, Tonka released Supernaturals, a line of ghost and demon action figures, but these weren't just regular figures. Each one had a flat chest piece with a holographic sticker on it. When you moved the figure, the image on the sticker changed. A skull became a face, a demon transformed into a human. Darkness shifted to light. In 1987, holographic images were still genuinely magical to children. This was years before holograms showed up on credit cards and driver's licenses. A sticker that changed depending on the angle you held it? That was sorcery. The figures were split into two groups, the heroic ghostlings and the evil spookulons. Each had a hologram, a glow-in-the-dark feature, and a backstory involving ancient spiritual forces battling for control of the human world. Supernaturals lasted only one series. They were just gone after a single year. No explanation, no farewell. Today, they're genuinely sought after by collectors who never forgot the experience of watching that hologram shift. Every kid in the 80s wanted something soft to hug, and also, apparently, something terrifying. My Pet Monster solved both problems at once. Released by Amtoy in 1986, My Pet Monster was a large stuffed monster, about 2 feet tall, with blue fur, yellow eyes, orange horns, and plastic handcuffs on its wrists. The cuffs could be broken open as part of the play, suggesting your monster had recently escaped from somewhere. Where? The packaging was vague on this point. My Pet Monster became one of the must-have toys of the 1986 holiday season and spawned a TV movie in 1987 where a boy transforms into a monster version of himself. Then a short animated series, a costume line, and a full range of merchandise. And then, as with so many 80s crazes, it quietly faded. The monster who came with his own broken handcuffs and a vague criminal past slipped out of the cultural memory. If you had a My Pet Monster, you had arguably the most charismatic stuffed animal ever made. And that's not up for debate. This one deserves so much more recognition than it gets. Bucky O'Hare started as a comic book, a space opera about a green rabbit captain fighting an army of toads across the universe. In 1991, it became an animated series and a toy line from Hasbro, and for one brief moment, it looked like it might become the next big thing. The cartoon was genuinely excellent. Smart writing, strong characters, real stakes. The toys were well made and creative. The concept, a space animals fighting space toads, was exactly the kind of weird, specific energy that 90s kids responded to. But the timing was wrong. The toy line launched and the cartoon was canceled within the same year before either could fully find their audience. Without the cartoon to drive toy sales, Hasbro pulled the plug. Today, Bucky O'Hare is one of those 90s properties with a fiercely loyal fan base who absolutely cannot understand why the rest of the world forgot about it. They're right. It was great. And it deserved better. Okay, here we go. If you grew up in the early 90s and you were a boy, there is a chance, a genuinely good chance, that you had one of these in your pocket on any given day between 1992 and 1996. Mighty Max was a miniature playset, a small plastic object shaped like a monster's head or skull that opened up to reveal an entire tiny world inside. Dungeons, lava pits, alien ships, and inside each one a tiny figure of Max, a regular kid with a baseball cap, surrounded by villains and monsters. The concept came from Bluebird Toys, the same British company that made Polly Pocket. They looked at what Polly Pocket was doing for girls and created the exact same thing for boys. Except instead of pink houses and fashion shops, they filled it with skulls and horror. It worked perfectly. The toy line ran from 1992 to 1996, spawned an animated cartoon that ran on Saturday mornings with a surprisingly dark storyline. We're talking character deaths, time travel, real emotional stakes for a kids' show. And even landed Happy Meal tie-ins at McDonald's. And then it disappeared when Mattel acquired Bluebird Toys and simply didn't continue the brand. Now here's why I'm not going deeper on this one today. We have a full, dedicated video coming about Mighty Max. The complete history, the cartoon, the collector values, everything. If this story already has you thinking, wait, I had one of these. Subscribe right now because that video is coming and you don't want to miss it. Mighty Max deserves its own spotlight. Trust me. What if dinosaurs, but with laser guns? That's it. That's the entire pitch for Dino Riders, and it's one of the best toy concepts ever created. Released by Tyco in 1988, Dino Riders was a line of extremely detailed dinosaur figures, each one fitted with elaborate weapons platforms, armor, and miniature human or alien riders. The good guys, the Valorians, rode dinosaurs and used them in battle. The bad guys, the Rulon, did the same but with more evil energy. The dinosaurs themselves were genuinely impressive. Museum-quality sculpts, accurate proportions, movable parts. The Smithsonian Institution actually used some of the molds in their own educational dinosaur figures for years afterward. The cartoon lasted 1 season. The toy line lasted 2 years. Not because the product was bad, it was genuinely great, but because the marketing never quite broke through. Today, Dino Riders are highly collectible. Complete sets with all the armor and riders attached can sell for hundreds of dollars. Because even decades later, the answer to what if dinosaurs had laser cannons is still yes. Obviously, yes. And for number 1, the most forgotten yet genuinely incredible toy on this list. In 1987, Mattel released Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. And what made it unlike anything else ever sold in a toy store was this. The toys interacted with the television show, not in a metaphorical way, literally. The vehicles and figures came with photoelectric sensors, and when you pointed them at the TV during certain scenes in the broadcast show, the show would either shoot your toy, making it take damage, or you could shoot back at the screen and score points. This was 1987. The concept of interactive television was, at the time, mind-blowing. The show itself was surprisingly dark and mature for a kid's property. Post-apocalyptic setting, real character deaths, storylines with genuine weight. And it still failed. The show lasted 1 season. The toy line was discontinued. The interactive TV concept was too new, too expensive, and too dependent on kids watching the show at the exact right time, which, before DVRs and streaming, was a real logistical challenge. Captain Power is remembered today mostly by toy historians and obsessive collectors who recognize it was years ahead of its time. The idea of a toy that responds to a media broadcast, that concept came back decades later in different forms. They just got there first and then disappeared, like so many of the toys on this list. 10 toys. 10 forgotten little pieces of childhood that deserve to be remembered. Whether it was the chaos of Sky Dancers, the gross-out genius of Madballs, the ahead-of-its-time ambition of Captain Power, or the miniature universe of Mighty Max, every single one of these toys meant something to a kid somewhere. And some of those kids are adults now, watching this video thinking, I completely forgot that existed. That's the magic of nostalgia. It doesn't require the toy to have been famous. It just requires that at some point, it was yours. Drop a comment below and tell me, which one did you have? And which one did you completely forget until just now? And if you want more, subscribe right now, because the next 3 videos on this channel are going deep on Mighty Max, Dino Riders, and Bucky O'Hare. Full deep dives, the complete history, the cartoons, the collector values, all of it, one by one. You do not want to miss those.